This is the final video going over the solutions to our geometry practice problems. So problem number 5 is looking at painting bedrooms in a house. So Tony wants to repaint the bedrooms in his house. The floor plan shows the dimensions of each room, and he plans on painting the walls and the ceiling in each bedroom, not the floor, and wants to do 2 coats of paint. At Home Depot, interior paint will cost $28.98. And yes, I know dollars aren't labeled, but we're going to assume it's dollars here. And will cover up to 400 square feet of walls. We're also given some sales tax, and we want to know how much will Tony spend on paint. All right, well, let's start with just where are the bedrooms. So we have 3 of them in this diagram. Notice there's one downstairs, right here on the first floor. And then there's a same size bedroom up here, and then a bedroom up here. Now, we're not given, like if you notice in the diagram, there's some windows and there's doors and there's those sorts of things. I don't know the size of those, so we're just gonna act like they're not there. I know they are in reality, but we're going to just sort of treat them like they're not there so we can sort of get a general gist. Remember, sometimes with these questions, like it's better to have an overestimate and have budgeted more money, and then you don't need all the money in the end. Is sort of my philosophy with these types of problems. Conveniently, 2 of the bedrooms are the same size. Notice there's a 10 by 14 and a 10 by 14, which makes the work a little easier. And that is feet. The single tick mark means feet, so just a note about notation. So if we're thinking about this, this is a surface area question, but using the formulas aren't always going to help you with this because we're not doing every single surface in this rectangular room. So what I like to do is I actually like to sort of draw out the walls if I'm not really sure what needs to go into this. So for example, we're going to call, I'm going to color code. So we're going to call this room and this room, we're going to do our work in sort of this gold color. They're the same size room, so it's going to be the same. Now, if we think about this, so a bedroom has 4 walls, and we're told the ceilings are 8 feet tall, which if you're then thinking about this, one wall in this bedroom would be 8 feet tall, and then it would be 10 feet long. And that would be like one wall. And then the next wall in that same room would be 8 feet tall and 14 feet. And then, you know, I have a repeat of that 8 by 10 wall. And for the sake of this, I'm going to actually just sort of show it out so that you can really think about the sides. And it's by 10. And then another 8 by 14. So what that gets us is our 4 walls. But notice we're told we're doing the walls and the ceiling. The ceiling should be the same size as the floor or the size of the room. So our ceiling would be 10 by 14. So we have a wall, ceiling. 4 walls and a ceiling. I basically need to find the area of each of these and then add them all up. And I have that twice, which is sort of convenient. So we're going to, we'll call this bedroom 1 and 2. So we have an 8 by 10 wall being added to an 8 by 14, being added to an 8 by 10, being added to an 8 by 14, being added to the ceiling, which is 10 by 14. So wall 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the ceiling. All right, if I add all of those together, I would end up with 524 square feet of wall ceiling space. Now, we have 2 bedrooms, so that's for only 1 room. And so if I then take that for both bedrooms, we would take that 524 and we'd multiply it by 2, and so we'd end up with 1,048 square feet of wall ceiling that needs to be painted. So that's for those bedrooms. Now let's flip colors. Let's go to red. And so for the red one, that's going to be this bedroom up here. Now I'm going to sort of condense my work a little for this one. We'll call this bedroom 3. So I'm not going to show out the drawings, but if you need to draw out the drawings, I'm going to run out of space if I do. But basically each of these, like this 8 by 20 wall, I have twice. So I have 8 by 20 2 times. I also have the 8 by 10 2 times. And so what you notice I'm doing here is that I'm actually saving myself a little bit. Instead of writing out all 4 walls, I'm just saying, okay, I have each of those walls twice. And then I'm going to add the floor, which would be a 10 by 20. And now that's going to get me then my total area, which in this case was 680 square feet. All right, so we have the area of bedrooms 1 and 2 put together, the area of bedroom 3 put together. So the total area is going to equal whatever 1,048 plus 680 is. And so that comes out at 1,728 square feet. Now that would be the amount of square footage of paint I would need if I just did 1 coat. But the reality, if I paint walls, I typically need to paint them at least twice. So we're assuming that we're going to do 2 coats of paint if you're at the fine print. So I need actually this number times 2, because we're going to do, you know, so area painted is going to be a little more. So we would have the 1,728, and we're going to times that by 2, which would get us, we end up needing to paint 3,456 square feet. Okay, so that's the amount of wall ceiling space I need to paint. Now let's focus on the paint. So cans of paint are typically going to tell you how much area they can cover, and it's an ish. So you probably want to buy a little extra, just so you know. You want to round up and not round down. And we're told this covers 400 square feet of walls. So every time we have 400 square feet, we need 1 gallon of paint. So to figure out the number of gallons, I would take my 3,456 and I divide it by 400, and I come out with 8.64. Now I can't buy 0.64 gallons of paint, so this is what I said, we want to round up. So we're actually going to say we want to buy 9 gallons, because I'm going to buy a full gallon. Okay, and each gallon costs $28.98, and then I have my sales tax to figure in. So now with doing cost, and I've officially run out of room, but I'm going to do my best. So I'm going to have cost down here, and I would take my 9, and I'm going to times that by 28.98, and I'd get my subtotal. So my subtotal here was $260.82 that I would be spending on paint. But I have tax, because, you know, tax adds money, and the more expensive the product, the more the tax is going to be. That's how percentages work. So it's really important to consider this when I'm budgeting for expenses. It's like if I order something online, sometimes I have to consider, am I paying shipping? Sometimes that makes a big difference. So we don't want to forget these small fees when we're thinking about, you know, money issues. So if this is going to be my subtotal, and then if I want with tax, I would take this number, the 260.82, and I'm going to times that by 1.078. If you remember back to an earlier video, we talked about why that 1.078 works. It's the 100% plus the percent for the tax, and that would get us a total of $281.16. So I'm actually going to write my final answer up here. So how much will Tony need to spend? He will spend $281.16 on paint. there's my answer. And clearly I did not give us enough room for that problem. So you might need a separate sheet of paper to really show out all your work, because remember, organizing our work, labeling stuff, these are all important things. We want to make sure that others can follow our thought process. All right.